This upscale neighborhood's newly gentrified 100-year-old brownstones made the abandoned drone behind the dumpster even more shocking. Or maybe not. The elites had their abusers, they just hid them better. Talia knelt by the body. Torn hair, burned she could still smell, pale synth skin smeared with grime where it had been dragged. The female-gendered drones always got the worst of it. One arm was broken so badly the hydraulics showed through. What was the owner thinking dumping it here? IntelliCorp didn't care as long as it was paid for, but Talia could get a reward for turning it in, and that would jack up the owner's rates. A bit of trash was tangled in the drone's hair. Talia used her fingertips to fish it out. A fortune from the China Palace around the corner. Your future is bright. Her stomach tightened as she rose and stood on tiptoes to peer in the dumpster. Ripped trash bags spilled out smashed fortune cookies, their white strips bleeding out. The owner must have dropped the drone in the dumpster, thinking no one would find it, but it regained consciousness long enough to drag itself out. So many owners got off on torturing their drones, not because they were machines, but because they weren't. They were 1/20th of a human. Not enough to count for rights, but enough to work for the sadists. Talia was halfway through her degree in neurocomp. She understood what was under the hood. Not just the facts about how drone consciousness was borrowed from actual humans, donated, in IntelliCorp speak, but why this horror show had become acceptable. It was built on a giant, insidious lie. That all this worked without donors and drones feeling anything. It had taken 2 classes in neurobiology, 1 in AI history, and a day in the lab for her to discover the lie. It was impossible for any of this to work without crosstalk between donors and drones, even if the protocols said everything should be subconscious for donors. As if that mattered? If the donors didn't feel it consciously, somehow the apparently very real emotions in the drones didn't count? How did anyone buy that glossing over of monstrosity? She hadn't slept soundly since. Her history book said the quest for superintelligence in machines had sputtered despite the hundreds of billions thrown at it. Superficially fooling humans wasn't good enough. Not when a drone couldn't navigate problems like the family dog thrashing the toilet paper. IntelliCorp needed the capability of a real human brain, but stripped of any human rights and able to scale their shareholder value. And they couldn't grow brains in a lab. Not that they didn't try. Petri dish brains lacked sophistication. They weren't trained on genuine lived experience the way donors' minds were, which was what made them so valuable for renting out to the drones. Each donor supported 20 drones with a part of their brain they weren't using. If they weren't using it, how could it be trained? The fig leaf over the monstrosity was practically transparent. But all that mattered was those lies enabled an extremely profitable business. Drones could navigate almost any environment and problem solve at an insanely high level, all without needing to be paid or have rights. Like the right not to end up in a fucking dumpster. Drones far outnumbered humans now, and more donors were recruited every day.